أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. We continue with our topic of looking at Islam, how it came from Africa to the Americas, and we have covered the roots at which Islam came. First on explorers, Abu Bakr coming from the empire, and then we have the Muslims who were bought as part of the slave trade, and we had also then the immigrants who came in from outside. And so this is how Islam came into the Americas. Into Jersey itself. Here we are, bringing it closer to home. In Jersey, Islam also came in the same manner, and today, Muslims in Jersey has probably the second largest population of Muslims in the country, in the nation. We have such a large percent. According to the official statistics, the Muslim population of the country is just over 1%, 1.21. It's just over 1%, and but the population in Jersey is just over 3%. Of Muslims. This is the largest population of Muslims in the states in the United States. The Islam in Newark, it is even a larger population or concentration of Muslims. The New Jersey population is just over 8 million. So we're looking at over 800,000 Muslims or so in the state of New Jersey. The Muslim population is very diverse. It's very, very diverse. We have the majority of Muslims, of course, might be in the context of the African American Muslims, which is the African Muslims, which is form the largest population, because Newark is the largest city in the state of New Jersey, and it has the largest population, over 280,000 people in the state of New Jersey. Jersey is the largest population is Newark, and we have a very high percentage of Muslims living in Newark, coming from all the different backgrounds that there. So the diversity of the state represented the diversity you find in Newark. Also, Newark is very, very diverse, just like the state of New Jersey is so diverse. So we have Muslims from the Asian and the background. We have Muslims from Balkan states, Europe side. We have Muslims from Africa. We have Muslims from Arab world. And we have Muslims also from the Americas itself, North and South America. So we have a diversity of Muslims in the state of New Jersey and in Newark. And this is the case you can find throughout that great diversity that exists. The early history of Islam in Newark itself goes back to the 30s, I'd say, just around the 30s or so. It goes back to that early period, and I'm talking about authentic Islam. Before, there were skewed views of Islam that came in, forms of Islam that came in. We have back when in the early stages, when what's his name, Timothy Dew, who later became Numo Duale, he came up from north, down south, and he promoted a kind of religion using Islam. It was not quite Islam. It was not Islam, but the name was used. Then the Canaanite temple he had in Newark, and then later on they established what the more Science temple, and so the name Islam came in with terms like that, but it was not really authentic Islam. It was thing. So, but the authentic Islam or Sunnah Islam, you find came in around the 30s with the Deenullahi Arabic society, where you had Muslims really, who actually practiced Islam according to the Sunnah. In the 60s is when the Nation Islam came to Newark, and they established the late 50s and the early 60s, I think 61 or 60 something, around 60 something, early 60s, they established their first temple here. So they did popularize the name Islam. As we said, Nation Islam was a social reform movement at the time, but they used Islam as the thing. So in the early 60s, they established their first temple on South Orange Ave. And when the transition took place, when Imam Daud, who took over, who succeeded his father in 75, when he made the transition from Nation Islam to Orthodox Islam, the Muslims from the Newark, from that group also made transition, so that they changed from temple to Masjid Muhammad. So you had the Deen al-Islami, Deenullahi Arabic society that was there from the 30s to the early group. Back in the 60s, it was a thing, a fashionable thing for people, especially musicians, to become Muslim. Late 50s, early 60s, in the 60s, that a lot of them were becoming Muslim. Jazz players, Idris Muhammad and people like this, many of them becoming Muslim. And people who are involved not only in jazz and black music, but the black culture itself, becoming, the last poets, members of the last poets, becoming Muslim and people like that. And we had, of course, so a lot of the cultural people, cultural images that represent the black community started becoming Muslim back in the 60s. Even the father of our President Mir, the Anwar Ras Baraka, his dad, his name was Leroy Jones before, and he also became Muslim under at that time the Deenullahi group. He took a shahada from Imam Jabir, Hisham Jabir. He took a shahada and he took the name. They gave him the name Amir Baraka. And he adopted the Swahili form of the name, which is Amiri Baraka. And so, I mean, this is really the present mayor, where he got his name from his dad in adopting the name, and his mom was Amina. You find that Islam start coming into view in Islam back in those days, from the early period in Newark. This is before the migration, or before those immigrants coming into Newark. Because the mass immigration started more in the 70s. I say, lots of people migrating to America from outside in the 70s. So you had a lot of Muslims coming up from the north, from the south, as we mentioned, coming up from the Caribbean and South America side, coming up to North America. And we had, of course, Muslims settling in, Muslims coming in from Africa and so on, settling in Newark. So in Newark, population began to grow and expand. So, after from those small early groups of the Deen-Allahi Arabic society, you find Islam began to grow in Newark, and then of course with the influx of the nation, especially when they transition, they will become more official Muslims in 75. So Islam began to grow, and then of course you had other Muslims coming now from both the Arab world, coming in and settling in Newark and becoming business people. You have settled because in Essex County as a whole, we have a very high concentration of African people, and so you had a lot of Muslims coming in from the different areas into Newark. So the Muslim population of Newark swelled. It swelled tremendously, especially during the 80s and 90s. It swelled tremendously. We have so many masjids now in Newark. We have probably 14, maybe 15 masjids in Newark right now from different backgrounds. We have African American masjids. Masjids more influenced by more like traditional backgrounds like that, traditional masjids. So we have we have Imam's Council, the Imam's Council, the Imam's Council of Newark. I'm president of the council. We have African American masjids, and like Masjid al-Haqq and Masjid Muhammad and so on. We have Masjid Shifa and so on. We have African and Ibrahim. The African American Muslim masjids control and run predominantly African American Muslim. Then the masjids that are from Muslims from Africa itself, Nigeria predominantly, or Ghana, or Burkina Faso, different places in Africa that are here, like this Masjid Falahi and so on, Masjid Mubarak and so on. We have those masjids here also in Newark. We have we have one in the Park Masjid, Bangladesh Masjid, Masjid Medina. We have also we have other masjids here. We have other masjids, and of course we have our masjid, which is NIA Masjid, which was established back in the 80s. Right, it was started back in the 80s. Because back then there was not a lot of places. There was Bramford Place, of course, downtown. And that was established in the city, so a diversity of people went there to that masjid, so you found that with Muslims coming particularly from Guyana and Trinidad and the Caribbean side, they established the NIA Masjid. Muslims from Guyana established the NIA Masjid, and NIA Masjid, the community center, bought a small building here, a former funeral home, and they converted it into a masjid, so it went from taking care of the dead to taking care of the living, and they brought new life to this part here in North Newark, on the borders of the West Ward and into the North Ward, that they brought new life here, and this community grew and it blossomed into the masjid that it is has right now. And so the masjid grew and it became diverse. So you have NA now become a very diverse masjid. You have people from the Caribbean, you have people from, you have Arab people, you have people from Africa, you have people from Indo-Pak background. We have all the different, Muslims, we have African American Muslims. We have all a mixture here at the NIA community, and it plays a very pivotal role. The NIA plays a very pivotal role right now in the Newark. The population of Muslims, as I said, is very high, probably maybe we got over 40,000 Muslims in Newark, 40, 50,000 Muslims in Newark. We do not have actual figures, but it's projected that we have over, 40, 50,000 Muslims in Newark. Actually, yeah, so the population of Muslims in Newark is such that you find Muslims involved in every aspect of life in Newark, from City Hall down. They're involved in every aspect of life, whether it be, teaching or police force or what have you. You find that Muslims in every aspect of life, Muslims are involved in the city of Newark, and so that they're part of Newark. So dressing as a Muslim or giving the greetings of a Muslim is not something foreign in Newark. It's quite many places you go and it would be a foreign thing to say Salaam Alaikum. But in Newark, I mean, even you go to City Hall, there's somebody you can say Salaam Alaikum to. You can give the Muslim greetings. So it has become a commonplace. Islam is a commonplace in Newark, as I said, going way back to the 30s. So that Islam is part of the soil of Newark right now, and plays a very key role in the society. The Muslim society influences everything as part of all the life of Newark right now. And the NIA community has become a very strong community and playing a very significant role here in the city of Newark. We're involved in just about every aspect of it. We have a variety of programming here at the Masjid. We have soup kitchens, and we have food pantries, and you have educational programs, and you have all kinds of activity that Muslims do here, that we do here in the city of Newark. So that Islam has grown tremendously in Newark and has become it's probably around the second dominant religion after Christianity. Islam is the second dominant religion in Newark. Christianity is number one, and then Islam is number two in Newark. That it is the influence that it has in every aspect and playing in every aspect. So that Islam played a pivotal role as a matter of this spills out not only to Newark, for the whole of Jersey, actually, as I said, because the Muslims involved in every aspect of life in the city. We have, as I said, 15 masjids in Newark right now. They're all functional masjids, and they all, play a role there in the city, so that on Juma, you find the day of Juma is a big day for Muslims in Newark. So you can go to any masjid and you find a lot of people there at the masjids. They're established masjids. And the NIA is the largest masjid built from the ground up. Masjid Muhammad is a smaller masjid that was also built from the ground up, and Masjid Shifa is now they broke ground and they laid a foundation and they're coming up. Now it's the third. So that Muslims have started now building masjids from the ground up. So that's the stage that the Muslims has reached right now in Newark, that they have started now to actually build masjids from the ground up. Before, all the masjids were buildings converted buildings that were converted to masjids. But now Muslims have started seriously building masjids from the ground up, which is a new development, a new stage that is set in Newark. And so there are Masjid Shifa will make the third masjid that's being built from the ground up here in Newark, as opposed to many other places that you find in Jersey itself. You don't find a lot of masjids built, from the ground up. Most of them are converted, buildings that were converted. But in Newark, it leads ahead in in Muslim building Masjid from the ground up. That shows the strength of Islam in Newark. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will continue to bless the community here in Newark and keep it strong. Yeah, we also, we want to thank everyone for tuning in on this series that we've been trying to bring it. There's a lot of information that we try to condense because our time is limited. So we try to condense as much information as we can during this series. We hope everyone enjoyed it and it was beneficial to all. We have in our new, in the Fireside Chat that we have on Thursday, we're opening it up for questions. So anyone who have questions about any issue that was raised during this series, or they want further information also, that they can make sure that you send your questions in, you post your questions in, so that we can answer those questions during the Fireside Chat. Next week we'll have, this is the topic that we'll be covering in the next Fireside Chat on Thursday night, a wrap-up session for this series. So we would like to answer all the questions and as much questions as we could that you have. So all you listeners and viewers who find the series interesting and you want to reach out and raise a question or raise a comment, please do so, inshallah.